two sisters discovered something terrifying at the swimming pool. They noticed a large diamond sword stuck at the bottom. Their hearts pounded. The older sister, without hesitation, put aside her fear and quickly swam to the ring, pulling a net into the water. However, the ring was stuck very tightly, and no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't budge it. Seeing this, the younger sister also jumped into the pool to help. But during the struggle, her hair got caught in the drain. Unexpectedly, the manager, seeing that all the customers had left and wanted to go home early to meet his boss, decided to close the pool early. He secretly pressed the shut-off button, and the drain cover slowly closed. The younger sister's hair was still stuck at the bottom. In desperation, the woman grabbed her sister's hair and struggled to free her. Fortunately, they finally escaped the predicament. The sisters looked amused in their reflection, but it was too late. The drain cover closed completely. The two sisters shouted for help, but the manager, superstitious as always, didn't hear their cries for help. The bewildered sisters completely wet themselves. The younger sister blames the older sister for being greedy for money, claiming that the older sister's greed led to this predicament. The older sister, however, blames her younger sister, saying that if she hadn't gone into the pool, this situation wouldn't have happened. Adding to the turmoil, it's Friday, and the pool won't be open on Saturday and Sunday, meaning no one will be coming to manage the swimming pool for the next 2 days. This means the two sisters will be trapped without food or water for 2 days. Thinking about this, they become even more anxious. After calming down, their immediate priority is to escape. The two sisters try to push against the cover with their hands, intending to pry it open with a burst of strength. However, the cover is exceptionally strong, and with no foothold, they struggle for a long time without success. Having no other choice, they search for an opening. But after searching around, they find that the surroundings are completely sealed off, and the area above is also blocked by the pool cover. After searching several times, they finally find a small hole in the cover. The older sister notices this as a potential break, but they need tools to widen. The younger sister on the spot is about to demonstrate her contortionist skills. The older sister was bewildered by this foolish move. She still decided to look for a usable tool. After some searching, she found a relatively dense small cover plate and inserted it into the small hole, rubbing it repeatedly to try and cut it off. However, the effect was minimal. The younger sister was already disheartened and had given up hope, but the older sister still had her eye on the large drill stored below. After getting the drill sore, she was overjoyed. Next, she tried to pick up the drain cover, hoping to use it to pry open the top cover, but it was secured by a sturdy metal block. The woman shook it for a long time without any effect. Helpless, she had to swim to the surface. Gradually, the sky began to darken and the pool water temperature began to drop. Worse still, the older sister's diabetes flared up. She became lethargic and her body began to move involuntarily. At this moment, she urgently needed an injection of insulin, otherwise she would faint at any moment. However, the insulin was in the backpack above. Just when the two were in despair, they suddenly heard footsteps above. It turned out there was a cleaner there. The two had finally found a lifeline, so they kept banging and shouting for help. Soon, their cries attracted the cleaner's attention. After learning about the two sisters' plight, the cleaner unexpectedly went to the older sister's backpack, taking her wallet and bank cards. Then, the cleaner glanced at the overhead security camera and approached the control panel. The two naive girls thought he was just about to open the cover. Just as they were relieved to be rescued, the cleaner went to the monitoring area and immediately turned off the camera. He then came out and demanded their phone password, saying he would help them call the police. The two innocent girls believed him and unsuspectingly gave him the password, 7397. After unlocking the phone, the cleaner stopped pretending. He was also heavily in debt. He then told the two girls that if they gave him their bank card password, he would free them. The two girls, desperate for their lives, refused to give him the password. Seeing their complete lack of trust, the cleaner decided to teach them a lesson. He first turned off the lights in the water. The two girls in the water felt the temperature dropping continuously. The cleaner had also turned off the water heating system. Terrified, they realized they would freeze to death if this continued. Then the cleaner threatened them again. Trapped and desperate, the two had no choice but to compromise and reveal the password detail. The cleaner insisted on withdrawing the money before rescuing the two sisters. Reluctantly, they could only silently endure the situation, huddling together for warmth. Time ticked by, and the older sister's condition worsened. She turned pale and seemed on the verge of fainting. Finally, the cleaner returned, but still refused to rescue them. Upon questioning, they learned the older sister only had 10 yuan in her bank card, which she was dissatisfied with. With her condition becoming increasingly critical, the younger sister had no choice but to beg the cleaner for mercy. The older sister, having received a satisfactory reward, refused to open the door, ignoring their pleas and walking away. Seeing her trembling sister and remembering the greedy cleaner, the younger sister decided to teach her a lesson. She sharpened the small cover to a fine point, then swam to the opening, hoarsely demanding her personal account book. The greedy cleaner, as expected, accepted the offer. Because of the woman's trust, she could only lean over and listen intently. The younger sister, seeing her opportunity, the cleaner, driven by greed, hastily treated her wounds and angrily activated the perpetual green gas purification system. The two sisters, caught off guard by the sudden burst of energy, were bewildered. The older sister was nearly unconscious. They could only plead with the cleaner for mercy. Seeing that lives were in danger, the cleaner quickly shut off the switch. At the same time, she noticed the diamond ring on the older sister's hand. She gave them another choice: hand over the large diamond ring and they would be released. Faced with this life or death situation, the two sisters abandoned their greed for money and decisively handed over the ring. It turned out the manager had changed the password. The cleaner panicked. She bluntly told them the password was invalid and the perpetual gas cover couldn't be opened. The younger sister, burning with anger, offered to call the police, but the cleaner refused. She knew that if the police arrived, her extortion of the sisters would be exposed, and she didn't want to go back to jail. Helpless, she decisively left, leaving the two sisters to fend for themselves in the perpetual gas. Seeing hope flicker once more, the two sisters were filled with utter despair. At this moment, the sister, who desperately needed a guide to break free, began to gradually fall into a coma. Her younger sister, seeing this, was heartbroken and could no longer act as a substitute. The only way now was to remove the drain cover and use it to pry it open. She adjusted her body and used all her strength, but still couldn't budge it. She could only try repeatedly, switching sides. Seeing her sister's dying breath, she knew she couldn't stop. She then found an old swimsuit as a handle and struggled with all her might. Finally, she tore open the drain cover. She immediately swam to the top, but still couldn't budge it. She could only try repeatedly, switching sides. Seeing her sister's dying breath, she knew she couldn't stop. She then found an old swimsuit as a handle and struggled with all her might. Finally, she tore open the drain cover. She immediately swam to the top and picked up a small hole in the drain cover that was constantly being hit. Through persistent effort, she finally widened the opening. She rescued her sister, who was lying in the creek, and quickly injected her with a guide. The sister slowly began to recover. Just as she was celebrating her recovery, her confidant, the cleaning lady, however, was pointing a gun at her. She had sensed the two sisters would escape and feared they would call the police and expose her, so she had returned to kill them to silence them. The younger sister repeatedly assured her she wouldn't call the police, but the cleaning lady remained unmoved, gripping the gun even tighter. Desperate, the younger sister desperately tried to protect her unconscious older sister. Seemingly moved by their sisterly bond, the cleaning lady finally softened and returned the drill shears, escaping danger. The younger sister decisively dialed the police, keeping her promise to let the cleaning lady leave before the police arrived. Ultimately, through their persistent efforts, the two sisters safely overcame their predicament.